Today we are covering a topic that everyone doing stick welding must know, stick welding with E6013 electrodes. In this video, I will explain step by step in a clear and simple way how to do stick welding with E6013 electrodes and what to look out for. E6013 electrodes are preferred for welding thin sheets made of carbon steel, light steel constructions, and steel parts that do not require high strength thanks to their easy arc start and stable arc structure. When working with E6013 electrodes, the polarity should be direct current electrode negative. This way, about 70% of the heat is generated in the workpiece. As a result, the electrode runs cooler, the arc becomes more stable, and spatter is reduced. Electrode diameter and amperage settings should be determined according to the thickness of the material. For parts with a thickness up to 5/64 of an inch, a 5/64 inch diameter electrode should be used, working in the 40 to 60 ampere range. For parts with a thickness between 5/64 and 3/16 of an inch, you should switch to a 3/32 inch diameter electrode and set the amperage between 60 and 90. For parts with a thickness over 3/16 of an inch, you should switch to a 1/8 inch diameter electrode and set the amperage between 90 and 140. For an arc to form, there must be a small gap between the electrode and the part. When trying to start an arc by tapping the electrode on the part, a brief short circuit can occur. If the electrode is not pulled back fast enough, it can stick to the part. Therefore, when starting the arc, the electrode should either be tapped lightly on the part and pulled back immediately, or started by scratching it lightly like striking a match. After the arc starts, the arc length should be kept at about half the electrode diameter. For example, when working with a 3/32 inch diameter electrode, the arc length should be kept around 3/64 of an inch. If the arc length is too long, the arc becomes unstable and spatter increases because the distance between the electrode and the part increases. At the same time, the shielding effect created by the electrode coating also weakens. This can cause the molten weld pool to come into contact with air and create porosity. The holding angle of the electrode should be tilted 15 to 30 degrees from the vertical position to the workpiece and held in the direction of travel. This way the slag stays behind the arc and the weld pool is easier to control. If the electrode is held too vertically, slag can mix into the molten weld pool. This can negatively affect the weld quality and strength. The arc should not be cut off suddenly at the end of the weld. Cutting the arc suddenly can cause a crater to form at the end of the bead. Therefore, when finishing the weld, the electrode should be pulled back slightly to fill the weld pool, and then the arc should be cut. If there is rust on the material before welding, it must be completely cleaned with a wire brush or grinding. For materials over 3/16 of an inch, a weld bevel should be opened to ensure full penetration. Additionally, in multi-pass welds, the resulting slag must be cleaned after each pass to prevent the weld strength from decreasing. In this video, we explain step by step how to correctly perform stick welding with an E6013 electrode. If you think this video was helpful, don't forget to like it and subscribe to the channel for more stick welding training. See you in the next video.